Hello and welcome back to Alex FPL. Today we're looking at transfer plans for Game Week 3, starting with players we might want to buy like Pedro, Ekitike, Semenyo, Kudus and Wood, and then going into players we may want to sell like Palmer or Wirtz. Then I'll quickly go through some other considerations like Grealish, Sarr, Cunha, Gakpo, Eze, Gyökeres, Mateta and Richarlison. And finally, finishing up with my final thoughts including my transfer plans. Starting with João Pedro, which this time last week he was one of the most sold players, and now after his great game week in Game Week 2 with 15 points, he has been brought in by over 500,000 managers already going into Game Week 3. He's now owned by over 50% of FPL managers, his price has gone up by 0.1 million, and his next fixture is Fulham at home, followed by Brentford, Man United and Brighton. It's a really good fixture run, so I see why people are bringing him in. Also, on average now, over the last two games, it's 8.5, which isn't bad. He's averaging 81 minutes per game, which again is a lot more than most of us expected. Of course, Palmer's injury last game week obviously had an impact. As I've always said, the problem with João Pedro at Chelsea now is that threat of minutes from Delap. Although if Palmer is confirmed to be out for a while, actually Pedro's minutes look really good. Next, we have Ekitike, who's been selected by almost 25% of managers. He has also seen the price rise to 8.6 million. And the time of the recording of this video, which is on the 26th, it looks like it'll go up in price again. So by the time this video is published on the 27th, I expect this price to be 8.7. I really like Ekitike as a pick if it's confirmed that Isak is not coming to Liverpool. If he is, then Ekitike is absolutely an avoid for me. And another reason why I'm going to be waiting until Game Week 4 to make most of my transfers. Another factor discouraging me from bringing Ekitike into my team this week is, of course, the fact he's facing Arsenal. Next, we have Semenyo, who's been selected by over 20% of FPL managers. He's seen his price rise to 7.2 million now, and over 500,000 managers have brought him in this game week alone. So far, he's returned in both game weeks, averaging 11.5 points per game and 90 minutes per game, which is amazing. Not the easiest fixture away to Tottenham in game week 3, but over the next 6, it looks really, really good. Semenyo is top of my list for transfers in. Then we have Kudus, who I'm also very interested in bringing in. Over 300,000 managers have already brought him in going into Game Week 3, so he's at 30% selection. His price has gone up to 6.6 million, which is still very affordable, and he's got an amazing run for the next 6 fixtures from Game Week 3 to Game Week 8. His underlying data is really strong on assists, much more so than goals, but that's what we expect from Kudus in this Tottenham side. So at 6.5 points per game, he's definitely someone that I'm looking to bring into my team. Some FPL managers are worried that with Tottenham signing a new attacking player that Kudus will see his minutes reduced. However, I believe Tottenham are looking for a number 10 so that Pape Sarr can play further back and someone can take over that number 10 role. Next, we have Woods, which offers a bit of a conundrum. His price has gone up already by 0.2 million. The reason why I'm worried about Woods is that he's got an amazing game week this week with West Ham at home, but that's quickly followed by Arsenal away. So if I am to bring Wood in, I think I'd be looking at Game Week 5 onwards. He's currently overperforming his data by almost 100%, but that's what Wood does. It was the same last season. He's very much an overperformer, which translating the data essentially means he's a very clinical finisher. Then we have Wirtz, who's been transferred out by 875,000 managers already going into Game Week 3. So he sits at 24.9% ownership and his price has dropped to 8.4 million. His underlying data stinks. He's got 0.2 expected goals and 0.4 expected assists. His minutes are decent at 80 minutes per game, but he's averaging 2 points a game and he just doesn't look like he's getting involved, neither to the eye test and neither according to the stats. He's just not the FPL player that I want him to be at this stage of the season. Of course, there's nothing preventing Wirtz from becoming an amazing FPL asset in the future. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. And with Arsenal being his next fixture, I think this is the time for me to move away from him. However, if you do hold on to Wirtz, you've got Burnley in Game Week 4, which is a big plus. So not absolutely a must sell this week. Then we have Palmer, who still sits at almost 50% selection by all FPL managers. He's been transferred out by 1.3 million managers. The reason why I think his price is still 10.5 is that FPL tends to block players' prices when they are flagged. And as of time of recording, which is Tuesday evening, Palmer is still flagged. So let's wait and see until Saturday morning. And if there's news about Palmer's injury, then we can make decisions based off that. I would urge everyone to hold on to Palmer because if it ends up being that he's fit and available for Fulham at home, I absolutely want him for that game. Now let's talk about some other considerations, starting with Grealish at Everton. So we saw him get 2 assists in his last game, and people are starting to bring him into their teams. I can see why. He's definitely going to be a threat, and a lot of Everton's play will go through him. However, for me, I'd like to see a more consistent output from their striker before I start bringing Grealish into my thoughts. Beto started for Everton in Game Week 1 and, to be honest, didn't look very good. However, in Game Week 2, Barry started. He looked a lot better and he got a goal. So if that can continue, I will absolutely consider having Grealish on my team. The reason I say this is that Grealish is only really a strong pick for me if he has a number 9 that he can count on to put those chances away. Then we have Sarr at Crystal Palace. I think Sarr's a fantastic pick. He's only 6.5. He's got some decent fixtures coming up. The one thing that puts me off having Sarr in my team is that he's got all those fixtures in the Conference League to do before Game Week 4. Many managers are thinking about bringing Cunha in, which isn't a bad shout. He did look the most threatening from Man United. But before I bring in another Man United asset, because I've already got Bruno, I'd want to think twice before going for another one. But if I was to bring in someone from Manchester United that wasn't Bruno, I probably would be looking at Cunha. He got the most chances and arguably should have had 2 within the first 10 minutes of the game in Game Week 2. Gakpo is also high on my list of considerations. However, his Arsenal fixture in Game Week 3 is what puts me off him. Next up, we have Eze. Lots of people asking about Eze, but until we see him on the pitch and see how much Arteta's using him and where he's using him, I don't think he can be a consideration for us. Gyökeres looked a lot better in Game Week 2 than he did in Game Week 1. Of course, he was playing Leeds, so there is that to consider, but he got on the score sheet twice, and were it not for the fact that his next few game weeks are atrocious, I would consider bringing him in. Arteta hasn't really made an impact yet, but I am keeping an eye on him because I know it's just a matter of time before he starts scoring goals again. Finally, Richarlison at Spurs. Frank has said some really, really nice things about him in press conferences, but that could just be managers playing managers. I do think Solanke is going to take minutes off him, so let's monitor the situation. If Richarlison is clearly the obvious pick at number 9 for Spurs, then he could be an absolute bargain pick. So finally, a summary of my transfer plans. To talk you through my thinking, ideally I don't make a single transfer so that I can wait until the international break to make some. But as I said, I really want to get Wirtz out of my team and I like the look of Semenyo. So the most likely outcome is that I do Wirtz to Semenyo. If Palmer is injured, I will also do Palmer to Kudus. Keep an eye out for my next video where I'll be talking more about my transfer plans and my team selection going into the next game week. And for my final team selection, you can see a screenshot of that on my Twitter just before the game week deadline. That's it for this video. If you find it useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.